Hey everyone, it's Martell and Nell. We're here together this week.
Hi guys. So last week we talked about what we want our families to understand, and this week we're continuing the topic of families, and we want to discuss communication and communicating those wants to our family members. We can't expect people in our lives to understand us if we don't explain or communicate our feelings.
Right. So we thought about what the steps might be to getting to communicating and how to best communicate with our families. And first things first, what we have to do is sort of identify what it is we want our families to understand. And we started a great list of things in the group last week when I posed that question. But I recommend literally making a list of the things that you want your family to understand. So getting out a pen and paper and just your dream list. Like, I wish that they would understand this. I wish that they had a better understanding of this. I wish that when they say things like this, they understood that they make me feel like this. So just anything that comes to mind, making a list of that. And then second would be, asking yourself and reflecting on if you have ever had conversations about these kinds of things with your families, if you've truly explained that to them.
Yeah, because a lot of times, especially in the moment, just because we're thinking something doesn't mean it comes across or the message is received by the person in the moment, especially when it comes to family members. Even though we're so close, we don't always communicate the way we think we might be communicating.
Yeah, mind reading.
Yeah,
syndrome.
no one can read our minds. That's for sure.
Yeah. So after you've asked yourself if you've ever had those kinds of conversations, if the answer is no, you never have, actually taken that step and talked it out with your family members or a specific family member who is you feel not understanding you, making a plan to do that. These are courageous conversations that we need to have, and there are definitely some people who are just never going to get there and are never going to understand the things that we want to understand, and that's something that we're going to have to just come to terms with aside, and it's something that we can maybe discuss as a separate topic. But if the answer is yes, that you have had these conversations with someone in your family or your entire family, and they are still not understanding, or you feel that they are still not understanding, consider and ask next what might be getting in the way of that understanding. And thinking about how you're telling them might be a great place to start. So if you are coming into the conversation and asking them to understand something and you're screaming, or if you are crying, or if you are dropping words or terms that they don't understand, or scary statistics and numbers, that might not be the best way to have the conversation that we want to have. It might feel for us like this is what I'm feeling and I need to get it out and I need to communicate this, but considering for a moment what might be most well received by the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, I think when it comes to communicating with people who are typically very close with us is emotional awareness. And it's hard to change someone else's perspective, but it's easier to adjust or alter how we present a specific topic to a loved one. So consider, how does that person best receive information? If you know your brother, your sister, or your mother, and you know them well enough to know that, okay, they never respond well when I use sarcasm. They never respond well when I do this. I never get back what I need from them when I present the information in this way. Consider then, maybe how do they best receive information? Because that it might just be that slight change in how you say something, in your tone, or the words you use that will get, a response that really fulfills you and kind of really gets across how you're truly feeling and creates hopefully a healthier relationship.
Yeah. So, of course, it's way more difficult to change someone else than it is to change ourselves. But in a way, that's really great news, right? We are able to control our responses and how we put forward information and how we approach a situation. So what's wonderful about that is we can calm ourselves down first and go into the conversation in a calmer, more composed, less frazzled manner and hopefully achieve better results. What happens next is, of course, out of our hands maybe, but we know that we went into it in our best way, communicating with our best words and in our most calm sense, if we do it that way.
Yeah, and it's also good to remember, even if you are coming into it as your best self, you still might not get the reaction you're hoping for, because it requires for both people to be really in their best self. So, if your loved one is anxious and worried that day, that might not, that might not be the best day. And sometimes just reading the situation can help. However, if that doesn't work, it might be a little deeper for that person, and at least you tried and you did your best, and then maybe it's time to look at it differently even. But
really analyzing what your best is. Maybe you feel like you've been doing your best, but you have been having these conversations with maybe some sarcasm or maybe a bit of anger in your voice, or the conversations quickly get heightened and out of control, and what you can do to bring those conversations back. Even though it's painful, even though these are hard conversations to have, you'll know that you've done everything you can when you are remaining calm and you are remaining in a place of, equanimity all the while. So
for this week, we'd actually love for those of you who've maybe had success with this type of communication and sharing with your family. If you've experienced success, could you share your stories on what's worked? So for those of us in the group who maybe, would like just some examples of how to go about it.
Success stories.
Yeah, success stories, I think, would be a great way to start off the week.
Yeah.
Going forward. So,
and of course, we'll then get into, questions about if you want to have these conversations and you don't know how, we can go there too.
Yeah, great. So I hope everyone has a great week. Thanks, guys.